What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? You know what time it is? Episode 64 up in the mix. Let's get it. We got a special guest, Mountain Dow, up in the mix. Before we get started, you know what time it is. If you got yourself an iPhone and or an Android, go over to the Play Store and or the App Store. Download the FTX app. Stay up to date with the latest cryptocurrencies and NFTs. Without further ado, I am your host, Gatness TV. What's going on, y'all? And let's get to it. All righty, and we are live and direct. So first off, I want to say thank both of y'all for coming on, taking what I guess kind of mid-morning, afternoonish out of y'all's day and coming on. So I thank y'all both.
Yeah, stoked to be here.
Usually how we kind of started off, I'm sure a lot of people in this space in general will probably know the both of you. For people that don't, for either newcomers coming into Solana, doesn't matter if it's from the regular fiat world to Ethereum to just a random ass person on YouTube. Quick little background about yourselves. One, what were you doing before crypto, kind of in general, and then what got you introduced in crypto?
Yeah, you want to kick it off?
Sure. So Barrett and I are old friends. So the origin of our stories are pretty similar. Met in college a long time ago. Met actually through skiing. Both of us were competitive on the mountain. I come from a competitive snowboard background. Barrett from a skiing background. Met through the mountains. Fell in love with each other through through math and finance, right? And what ended up turning into entrepreneurship. My background spans across finance and tech. Before working on Solana, I actually had a different startup that I sold in the logistics space. A lot of machine learning in my background, right? But super, super stoked to be in Solana. It's been an absolutely wild ride. Definitely, the highlight of probably my life thus far. So, yeah.
So, yeah, like Edgar said, I mean, like very similar backgrounds. I stayed in academia just a tad bit longer to add like a math degree and do some research on like sea ice movement. And then, left that, worked as a lift op, skiing every day for an entire winter, which was super sick. And then joined the, tech as like a data scientist and engineer, where I've been for a number of years, working across like a couple different verticals from like fintech, ag tech, some consumer tech stuff. And then started a company and, transitioned it into being like a DeFi protocol, right? We saw the opportunity of what we were trying to build, and the best way to build it was, in fact, on chain, right? And then, obviously did a bunch of research on, hey, which chain are we going to build on? And then, kind of came to the conclusion that Solana was, the primo, option for us, given its high TPS, low transaction fees, and Serum being, the decentralized order book, that we didn't have to like go and reinvent the wheel, right? So it just made a lot of sense. And then, started talking to more people in the Solana ecosystem and was really excited about the developer community. And so kind of just rolled that in, and just haven't looked back since. It's just been a wild ride, just red pilling as many people we can into building on Solana.
Hell yeah. So I guess with cryptocurrency in general, was I guess Solana y'all's main first crypto, or is I guess when did y'all hear about it? I guess being in finance is probably assuming a couple years ago, or pretty new. When did y'all roughly hear about I'm assuming Bitcoin, or what was y'all's first?
Yeah, so way back in the day, like my freshman year in college, we heard about Bitcoin, and so definitely dabbled in Bitcoin back in the day. And then, to be honest, didn't really think saw what it was like being used for at the time. And I was like, I don't know if this is like really going to work out. And definitely kind of like left the space for a while and like pursued more of like the traditional finance and like quant finance route. And then, over the last handful of years, I think it's definitely been in, the more forefront of our minds. And then at the beginning of 2021, for me, I think was like when we made the decision to like switch and like actually, move into being, a DeFi protocol.
Yeah. Nice. With, I I guess question on because like I told y'all before we went live, down in Florida, so perception of skiers and snowboarders, is the perceptions right or wrong? Where aren't y'all supposed to hate each other? Isn't it like one shred and one's like, oh, chill? Is that a true misconception? Is it always like that? What is that realm?
It's a killer question. Utah has one of the 2 resorts in North America.
We have 2 of them.
We have both of them. Right? Because the one, what was it, Montana? I don't even remember. The two resorts in North America that still don't allow snowboarders exist here in Utah, which is crazy. I mean, like the way I tell it, right? As a snowboarder, we were always degenerates, right? Skiing had some class back in the day, and then they just joined us on the degenerate side, right? So it all got resolved.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, like of young people, nobody really cares. I don't even think like the majority of like older people really care either anymore. But there are definitely some, there are still some diehards that are like, yo, no, snowboarding is not cool. And I'm just like, I don't understand. I mean, like, so I have a brother and he is like a big snowboarder. So it was always like, good fun. I love riding with snowboarders. They bring like a different style to, the mountain and there's a lot to like learn and they make it more fun in my opinion.
That's what's up. Right when we go off camera, I'm like, man, fuck you too. It'd be awesome crazy shit. No, with I guess we're with the Mountain Dow. In general, what is that? Is this I guess the first time it's been done up there? Why did y'all start it and what is it?
Yeah, totally. So this is the 2nd annual rendition. Both years in Salt Lake City. The first year that we did this was last year. It's interesting. It's grown quickly. Over the 2 years. Last year, the way that we kind of kicked off the first version of Mountain Dow, everyone was going through the pandemic, right? Pandemic was tough for a lot of reasons. Folks were looking for new ways to connect with people they wanted to be around, right? Co-living took off. Co-living became this really interesting hack, right? You could get a house with, a couple people, that you knew off the internet, right? If you were, in tech or startups, and, kind of come up with a COVID policy, come to consensus on, how to manage the evolving global situation and get some of that like in-person interaction, right? And the first version of the Salt Lake City Hacker House was our winter solution for it, right? Barrett and I were, both part of a tech community called On Deck. There was a lot of interesting co-living energy there, right? People were going to Mexico, people were going to LA, right? People were going to warm places, right? And we were going into winter going like, man, we're so excited to ski. Like, I don't want to go down to Mexico now, right? And then, we were sitting around talking one day and we're like, we're probably not the only ones that want to come ski, right? So, kicked off a winter-themed house. The first time around, we bootstrapped it. Had a couple dozen folks roll through, and all of it was was pretty early, pretty small. Coming around this time, right? So those same folks started asking like, when's Mountain Dow 2.0 happening, right? When's this year happening? And, we started what would end up being a significantly bigger operation, right? Now it's Solana themed. So many folks, so many of that brilliant talent that we knew from across startups is now building in Solana, right? Within Web3. Lots of awesome sponsors that we have here, across the board, right? Projects in the ecosystem, VCs in the space, a couple hundred people coming through this month for everything from co-working to work related events to some of the skiing and the parties. So it's really exploded.
Nice. And it's over for the whole month. Is that correct? I guess with the pictures, because I've been of course following y'all with the Twitter and everything. I guess did y'all rent out that whole building? Was that something y'all have had beforehand? How does, like, say someone on the computers, listening right now, where it doesn't matter, a month or two, and they're like, damn, like I want to do that, but with, I don't know, fucking trampoline down. You got to spring in a trampoline. Like how does this thing start? You know what I mean? How did y'all, I guess, start it from last year? Was it just
so like last year we just like last year we just rented an Airbnb and we're like, yo, we're doing this. And we just invited like people from like the Slack community and had been to a couple of like co-living experiments and, met a bunch of cool people and brought them to Utah this year. So we both have offices in like the co-working space in which Mountain Dow is located. So like we share an office on like the 4th floor, and then they had a lot of like occupancy that was unused, and so we were like, hey, like this would be a great place for us to host the Hacker House and bring in a bunch of people, right? It's already designed and built for co-working, and so you have like the amenities that come with normal co-working space, high-speed internet. We're not like last year we were like patching like Wi-Fi routers like all over the place, trying to increase the Wi-Fi speed, and it was still like
rented a table from IKEA.
Yeah.
By renting when you bought and then returned later.
And so we're like, well, this is at an operation of this type of scale, it was like, okay, like it's probably just better for us to do it in a place where it's already built for this. And so luckily for us, the co-working spot was super excited to work with us on this, and got 100 seats that included like 15 private offices. And then, we cater lunches and everything, and, have a bunch of like panels and events. But yeah, so it's just in like a new, like the newest co-working spot in Salt Lake City.
Nice. Yeah, I was literally just thinking that when you said like the high speed working area. I was like, oh yeah, they did say like, we're not an Airbnb. What if they had like slow ass internet? You're like, yo, what the fuck, dude? Like, so that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
We
like
the first.
that. No, go ahead.
Yeah. The first couple days last year, right? We kept killing the power, kept tripping the breaker, because we like, kids come through, right? Everybody brings monitors. We brought, we wanted to have everybody have their full setup. And, our host comes in and he was like,
oh, the black side.
You guys running like a Black Ops? Like, what is happening here? Like my whole house got transformed, right? But yeah, one of the amazing things about Salt Lake, something I don't think a lot of people know, the city is really new and it's expanding quickly, right? So there's a ton of new infrastructure, right? Like this co-working building, it's less than a year old. And that's like a huge cheat code, right? You're like, hey, all the amenities are new, everything's modern, right? The Wi-Fi is super fast. There's desk space for everyone. This is a place where people can really be productive, right? And as we were looking at, there's a ton of awesome Hacker House activity happening across the ecosystem, right? And we're super, super pumped on it. We were thinking like, how can we be like complementary, right? How can we add something, to the ecosystem, right? And decided to go for this like sustainability productivity approach, right? People are here for a month. We want them to feel like they can really get work done, and we think that that's a good fit for a space like this.
No, 100%. With I guess the type of things y'all are doing. Shoot, because you're probably thinking, some people are probably thinking, like I just said, it's a Black Ops. They're doing this, they're doing that. What type of I guess things, programs are y'all working on? Is it just for like anyone, or do you have not exactly agendas, but like what are y'all working on? What can people work on there?
Yeah, so I think we're big proponents of inclusivity, right? So we had like a lot of DMs going like, hey, like I don't know how to code, like can I come? And we were always like, yes, like right, like if you look at like building a successful protocol, it is more than just engineering. Sure, a lot of it is engineering, but if you're building something that's consumer facing, you need designers, you need business development people, you need marketers and community development, right? And so we really wanted all of those people to come, so like real solid teams could be formed that weren't just engineers, right? That could have, be like, okay, like, hey, like it's not just two devs that met and we're like, well, we don't know what to do past like, like writing the code, right? Not to say the devs don't know how to do that, right? Because Edgar and I have both, written
coming from
code.
two devs,
yeah. And so, but yeah, I think like it's really good to have like that different perspective and the different energy of community and marketing and business development and engineers at the end of the day. I think it provides a better experience, and you can have more tight knit and successful projects like come out of an experience like this.
No, 100%. I mean, and shoot, y'all might have it where someone's okay coder, maybe not coder, and then maybe just sucks in general, but goes there, finds, and then maybe just learn some of the stuff, and it's that light bulb where that could be just a big change in general. So, that's what's up on what y'all are doing, and for the second year in general on that one. With the I guess skiing, snowboarding, little transition on that. We kind of talked about it a little bit before, because I was asking, hey man, do I do a snow trip or a skiing trip right before it every day? I guess you are saying that it's every Saturday thing. Is it how do y'all do it on that one? And is it like the whole group? Is it like people are on the computers and you're like, bro, the hell off the computer, we're going, or like how does that one? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think we bought like 30 tickets, like first come first serve, right? Like to like take people skiing for free. I guess we didn't rent the equipment, but we got the day tickets. And then you don't have to come, right? Like actually, I didn't end up going because I had to work coming up on like our DevNet launch. So Edgar, took the guys and gals skiing on Saturday. We're actually, one of our buddies is a pro skier, and we're actually going to get him to take the group on this upcoming Saturday skiing. So that'll be pretty cool. And like anybody that wants to go can go, right? And then like Sunday, I think we had like 20 people at the Hacker House, like working again, right? There are some of us here on Saturday as well. But if you want to go, and we have like people going skiing today, right? The lines are a little bit shorter, like during like the weekdays, obviously. And so, we're like, hey, like whenever you want to go skiing, like go skiing. We are just trying to organize like, hey, like let's get a group of people from the mountain down to the mountain on Saturday and have some fun, right?
Yeah.
No, 100%.
Yeah, it's been, it's we talk a lot, right? In the industry about how work is changing, right? Lifestyles are getting more flexible. I think, this is an important opportunity to kind of really show that, right? Like you can go skiing on Monday if it works for you. You can go skiing on the weekend. You could work, you could not work. We're never going to stop anybody, right? But we're also, inclusive of kind of diverse, day-to-day lifestyles, right? Whatever folks are working on, different people are in different parts of their careers, different parts of their startups, right? Things change quickly. But it's been cool. We've the spot here is 24/7 access for everyone throughout the month, right? And the mountains are 30 minutes away, right? It's pretty perfect. You kind of get whatever you want here.
Hell yeah. With the coding and things like that, is it because Solana's on Rust as far as I know. Is it basically everyone that has to do Rust? Well, I guess I know it is, but I've never seen a code of Rust. And if you told me to look at it, I'd be like, yo, is this hieroglyphics? Like, it might, basically. But is it, I guess, just everyone in Rust, or say you got an ETH head? You know what I mean? They're like, yo, dude, what's all I ski? Like, can I come? Or is it straight Solana, straight ETH, or is it just coders in general? What is y'all's gear towards?
I mean, we're definitely geared towards the Solana ecosystem, right? Like we're both builders in the Solana ecosystem. So very excited about pushing like Solana forward. I'm sure there are people that know Solidity here, right? I think that,
I know for a fact there are a couple, yeah.
Sick, right? But I think for the majority, right, like people are trying to build stuff on Solana. And so they're playing around with Rust, they're writing, anchor programs. Obviously there's a lot of like front end devs here too. So like those guys, aren't writing in Rust, they're writing in like JavaScript,
Web3.js, yeah.
And so, there's like a good background of people. But I think if you're like focused on building a protocol, it is for like the Solana ecosystem at the end of the day.
Oh, 100%.
You want to find a balance between, you want some kind of focus, right? So people have their expectations managed when they're coming here, right? An ETH head who's interested in Solana, right? We talk to folks like that every day, right? And for any of these ecosystems to grow, we need way more people in there that are here right now, right? So, definitely Solana focus, but stoked to talk to anybody who's thinking about the space.
Nice. Another question, I guess, for both y'all, since y'all are devs beforehand. I guess knowing the knowledge you have now, being in Solana, things like that, what would you tell y'all selves, aka the coder that doesn't know, I guess, or maybe he's heard about Solana and debating on coming over to the kind of Web3 world, things like that? What would you, I guess, tell them why? What are the advantages? I guess not disadvantage, but what hiccups have y'all had in the line, and what can help them like come over?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think it's from when I like initially like went like heads down in like trying to build on Solana. Like last January, there just like wasn't like all that much like documentation. In Anchor. Like I remember like over the first like few months of like building Cypher, right? We were just writing code to not get deprecated by Armani. At like some point, I think we spent like a month just like, oh God, Armani shipped something new, we can't get deprecated, and we just had to like continuously adjust our program. But now I think that a lot of that has changed. Like documentation is so much better. You have like Soul Dev, you have Soul Hack, you have the Solana cookbook, right? You have a lot of like good Anchor documentation. The Anchor book is like being written and is like kind of already out there. And so there's like even like video tutorials and stuff like that now. And so I think that like there's a lot more resources to like help get people started. And honestly, I think like if you're not already like a hardcore Rust dev, or I mean, I think like Anchor is like a really great place to start if you're like looking to like build like on-chain applications. It takes a lot of opinions, right? I mean, that's the whole point. It's like an opinionated framework, but it makes like composability really easy between like two Anchor programs, right? Whereas if you're writing in raw Solana Rust, you can choose like your different serialization techniques, and that can like cause integrations between like programs to be a little bit more challenging. Whereas Anchor like forces everybody into one standard, and that makes like composability really easy. So it's kind of like becoming like the standard for applications on Solana. I mean, if you need something that is like hyper efficient, you might need to like write it in like native Solana Rust. But for the most part, I think like a lot of people will be able to use Anchor and build essentially like anything they want to, right? And so I would probably just start there on the Anchor docs page, an Anchorlang, whatever their website is, anchorlang.com. I probably fucked that up. But those are like really great places to start. And then get in the Discords, right? Like the Anchor Discord, the Solana Discord, just start asking questions, get on Twitter, like talk about it. I think like one of the things that I was like super shocked when I first made like the jump into like the Solana ecosystem was how friendly everybody was, right? Like everybody has dealt with, like the initial like struggles of like developing on Solana, and it's becoming like easier and easier by the day. But I think everybody like looks to be like very inclusive and like, hey, like you want to build, like this is like what I have learned, what I have gleaned from my experiences so far. So everybody is like super happy to like lend a hand or like talk through some stuff. And so I think like, Discord, the docs pages, and just start slinging code, as Tommy would say.
Yeah.
Slinging the code.
Yeah. I mean, I think I touching on what Barrett said, right? I think the biggest thing that I see devs realize as they get into the space and they really start building is that everyone else has all the same open questions they do, right? I think there's this perception on the outside that like, there's a different language spoken on the inside and we all have some super niche expertise, right? And sure, like the longer you're in the space, you gain expertise, right? But it's so nascent, right? There's so many open questions, and that's the awesome part about it, right? You can get in, you can pick up a shovel, you can start digging, right? And you could be the person who's driving those answers in the space. And I think it's part of what drives the, everyone to be excited to meet new people. It's like, awesome. Like we have all these shovels laying around. We got this massive hole. Thank you for coming. So excited you're digging, right? Like see you in the pit.
Nah, I like it. With I mean, that's one thing I like, that I guess y'all two being like devs and everything, because we've had other just NFT projects, I guess some just artist stuff like that, and that's been I guess an in common thing that it's always people in Solana are scaringly nice and willing to help. You know what I mean? Because most times it's like, hey, I'm starting a new project, I get this, I got that. Anyone want some help? And you just hear chirps. You know what I mean? And then like everyone, other than it's like close friends or family, if like you're trying to get like your brother or cousin to start doing artwork, of course that's always the hardest on that one. But I think that's awesome about Solana. Realistically, do y'all think, I guess that's because it's still early, so to say, or do you think it's a different vibe in general on Solana? What are y'all's What are y'all's thoughts on that?
I think that yes, it's early, but it's early for like everything, right?
Sure.
I think that this is just kind of like the Web3 and the crypto like ethos, right? Like it's open finance, open communication, right? I think that you like there are no like trade secrets per se because people open source their code, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
thing in like Web2, right, is like, oh, like this is our proprietary language. This is like our mode. You can't see our code base, right? So they're like less likely to like collaborate with like other groups, right, or other projects. Where in crypto in DeFi at large, right, like everybody's trying to like build building blocks to help other people like build stuff on top of them, right? And so I think that there is like that inherent like willingness and excitement about offering and extending a hand to somebody else because maybe they'll build on top of your protocol, right? Or maybe they'll build something that you can like integrate with. And so I think that there's like just like a difference in like the industry at large. And obviously I'm biased to the Solana ecosystem because we're in it, right? And everybody is super nice. But I think that that is like more of like a crypto and DeFi thing across any of the chains.
Yeah. I honestly like I think you can frame it in like a really boring like economic way, right? I think the pie's exploding. Like there's opportunity everywhere, right? It's way more advantageous to collaborate than it is to, try to compete in some unhealthy way, right? Like competition makes everyone better. It helps us all grow, right? And so it's easy to be nice because you're like, this is awesome for me, right? And there's I think with fast moving spaces like this, with early spaces, it's a lot of proactive people, right? A lot of folks that are just exciting to be around. Like at the end of the day, like I wake up, I'm stoked to be around people that are here at Mountain Down. Like simple as that, right? Doesn't have to get more complicated.
100%. I would agree with y'all on that one as well. I guess this kind of tech question because I don't know exactly. I guess with it open source, because I know a lot of people that even like the ThugBirdz that have a lot of their open source on some of the codes, the devs, not me, done. But beforehand, is that I guess is that a more common thing in the Web3 world compared to the other ones? And then just being an outside person, is it weird to not open source it? You know what I mean? Or is it just what are the thoughts on that?
Yeah, you want to start, Edgar?
Sure, yeah. So I would definitely say that Web3 has seen a resurgence of open source code, or at least open source code has seen a resurgence, right? As Web3's come around. It's interesting, for me, it almost feels like Web1 had a lot of open source, right? Web2, the business model started orienting around closed source code, right? And I think there's a couple pieces that kind of led to that, right? A few ingredients came together. Web3 is back to open source. Look, I think it's positive for a lot of reasons, right? I think it shares information faster, right? If you want to learn how something is done, like you go on, GitHub, GitLab, you go where the code is, right? You can learn it. I mean, it's incredible that someone around the world, right, anywhere, can get an internet connection, right, a mobile phone or a laptop, right, and without knowing anybody in the ecosystem, start learning from the experts, right? Like that's unbelievable. Is it weird to not open source your code? I think that's an open question, right? I think it's one that will continue to see evolution. For me, it really comes down to business models. I think Web3, the business models that will thrive naturally align with open source code, right? So it becomes the kind of thing where there's no real upside to not open sourcing it, right? Now there's nuances, obviously, right? And I think we're, given how early we are, right? Like who knows where all this will go.
For sure.
But yeah, it has been super sick to, get to see everyone's code and kind of feel more connected in a way we didn't really get a chance to be in Web2.
Yeah, and I think to like add on that a little bit, there's like, Web3 and crypto and is all about like decentralization, it's really hard to argue decentralization if your code is like closed source, right? I mean, like a lot of projects start closed source and then they go to open source. They move to being open source, right? Like maybe, they haven't had an audit yet, so it's closed, or they're still building, so it hasn't like launched, so it's still closed. And some people just build in the open the entire time, right? I don't think that there's like a right or wrong way to do that part, but I think as you go live and you really want to make the statement, or be able to like argue like, hey, like protocol XYZ is in fact open, or is decentralized, it has to be open source, right? Because if not, then you definitely can't have the broad community contributing to the protocol and its development and its foreseeable future, right? So I think that it in a way has to be open sourced at some point. I definitely understand like why people will not open source immediately, to make sure that there's a very strong like foundation for the community to come in and like really begin to build on. But in the long run, I think that like I don't necessarily see open source code going away in like DeFi in particular for like the long term. I think that there are like new like interesting license agreements that are like coming out. I mean, I think like Uniswap did some of this, right? And I forget the other big protocol I know that has done some of that like type of stuff, right? But if you want to make the case that like, hey, like this is a decentralized protocol, it's going to have to be like open sourced.
I think it's also really cool for devs that are looking to join projects or looking to contribute, right? Like, I mean, to me, the interview process has evolved pretty significantly, right? Because now, before, right, when code was closed source, you wanted to show your coding skills. Sure, you can go through some coding tests and things like that in interviews, right? And those are variably useful, having been on both sides of that conversation. And then, if you wanted to show some kind of project or something you worked on, you either had to kick off something entirely on the side, right? Or put together some like proof of concept, right? And you're like, oh, well, it's not like a real thing, but it could be a real thing. And you're trying to make this communication. Now it's so much simpler, right? Find a DAO you're excited about. Get into the Discord. Get into the GitHub, right? Help merge some PRs. You're there. You're live. You're contributing to like real impactful production solutions. I think that's like unbelievable.
Yeah, I would agree with that, just because it doesn't matter, like you just said, if you're a dev doing something like me, just asking, hey, I want to try and create more value, just to the ecosystem in general, you know what I mean? So it is crazy how, honestly, like a question to the right person, and maybe not the right person, but can just change things like that. So it is a crazy world we're in, and it's pretty damn awesome, you know what I mean? Of course, there's some shit in the world, but we're focused on the good stuff, you know what I mean? I guess the last couple questions, because we're right at the 33-minute mark, and like I said, it'd be right around the 30-minute range. Are y'all working on anything? I don't want to y'all as in Mountain DAO in general, right this second. Are y'all working on anything particular, I guess, as the coders there right now? Or is it just kind of like you said beforehand, say if people got some of their own projects or things they're trying to write, are y'all just helping it that way? Or are y'all working on a whole cohesive plan for something?
I think, we really want to like leave it up to, the hackers, the people, the builders, the designers, the, community members that are coming, right? I think again, like, like people want to work on different things, right? And you shouldn't like, be like, hey, like this is what this like whole event is about, right? We have people that are working on, a team just came today that is working on like multi-sig wallets, right? There's, a couple dudes here that are working on some pretty cool stuff with, Solana Pay, right? That just dropped. I think that there's some like dashboarding tools. I know that the step guys are here, right? And they're like some of like OGs, I think, probably in the Solana ecosystem. So yeah, happy to like let anybody do anything that they want, right? Actually, we have had 2 participants of the Mountain DAO come to us and go, hey, like we want to host like a workshop, right? Like we had kind of like these initial, workshops planned. And then, some of the people that are here, they're like, hey, like, I want to help, like educate some people on like XYZ things, right? Or like, get their opinions on it. And so now we have like the attendees, right, that are like coming and like, hey, like here's like a little like presentation like I've prepared, right? You mind if I like give it? And we want that to happen, right? Like I think that the more collaboration and the more information dissemination across like the community and the experiences is better, right? And it's always cool to like walk over to somebody and be like, hey, what are you working on, right? And yeah, it can be different than you, and maybe it's something that you never thought about, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, this is like really sick, and like maybe you want to like lump into the team, right? And so I think it would be a little constraining to be like, hey, like this is what Mount Dallas is working on, right?
Yeah. That said, we do have bounties from a number of protocols in the ecosystem. And that's kind of our balance, right? It's like if you're looking for stuff to work on, folks have ideas, they're willing to fund it, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars in open bounties, right? So definitely an opportunity to bootstrap your contribution, get a little compensation for it, and get involved. Yeah, if you're looking for ideas.
Yeah, there's actually a kid. This kid's like, I bought my ticket and I left. I won't like dox him, but he left his city that he was in with $5 in his bank account. He's like, I came to win bounty money to pay for my life. And I was like,
ladies and gentlemen, that's strong. Shout out to him, bro, and good fucking luck. Get that shit, bro. For y'all two, do y'all have anything I guess y'all are working on in general, I guess, so that y'all can, I guess, talk about? Because I don't know, honestly, if you know if y'all are, but if no one knew about it and you are, if you don't want to tell anyone, like, don't say it yet. But y'all got anything y'all are working on personally, or what do y'all got?
Yeah.
You could say that. Yeah,
we both have we both work on like DeFi protocols, pretty complementary at the end of the day, which is pretty cool. So I am a core contributor to a protocol called Cypher. We are dated futures on Solana, focused on like pre-public markets to start, right? So allowing anybody to gain exposure to private capital markets, whether that's Stripe, ByteDance, Kraken, or pre-token markets, to help and like really bring price discovery forward, because I think the IDO process could be iterated on quite a bit and made better. And I think like pre-token markets are gonna be able to help like reduce a lot of that volatility that we see within like the week or so after like an IDO. And then we can like essentially the protocol can be used to like generalize to like any sort of like fun exotic derivative, whether those are like NFT futures, DeFi rates, right? The list can kind of go on.
Yeah. And I'm a core contributor to a DeFi protocol called MarginFi. It's a portfolio margining protocol on Solana. So, really close to the derivative space, right? Which is, pretty cool. Barrett and I get to be pretty close as industry colleagues. We're focused on portfolio composability and capital efficiency, right? The Solana DeFi ecosystem and DeFi in general has seen a huge wave of momentum over the last couple of years, right? Lots of exciting financial products, a ton of opportunity for traders to enhance their portfolios, right? But there's a lot of fragmentation right now. These different products are being built on different protocols. There's, gaps with respect to information sharing and capital efficiency, right? And so we're helping traders unify their portfolios, right? And manage more complex trading strategies. So, yeah, if you're interested in DeFi, if you want to talk math, if you want to talk finance, if you want to nerd out on pretty much anything Solana, definitely DM Barrett and I, or any of the folks here. Definitely an interesting community, and like we talked about, folks are stoked to talk.
Hell yeah! Last question for both y'all before we wrap it up. And I'll give you all a couple of seconds to think, because probably like right after we go off live, you can probably think of something else. I was like, damn, I should have said that one. Crazy, funny stories from the time that y'all have been either on the slopes working as, I guess, I don't know the proper word for, the lift stuff, because I was on YouTube, of course, yesterday. Some people trying to snowboard or ski, just getting dragged up on the stuff. What are some crazy stories or funny stories y'all have seen personally?
Oh, geez.
That's
This is the hardest question
So
of
many.
the podcast. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Like in the last week or like the last month?
I was just thinking, I was like, it doesn't have to be this week. Don't call anyone out there. You know what I mean? Someone just dragging. Oh shit. What's the first thing that y'all think of?
Yeah, I mean, I think like, I saw a lot of things when I was like lift op at the resort. I think one of like the craziest experiences was, just like working up through like a big storm and having like avalanches like happen and like come down and like push cars like in the parking lot and we got interlodged for like 3 days, so like we couldn't leave the like lodges at the resort for like 3 whole days. Couldn't go ski, couldn't like literally like walk outside. I think there was like 15-minute period where like it was acceptable or something like that. I think that's probably one of like the craziest experiences I've had, at least at a resort. I mean, there's definitely a lot of things that happen in like the backcountry that are like, oh shit. But I think at a resort, I think that was like pretty wild to see. They're like, all right, like, you think like a resort is like, oh, it's safe, right, and everything, and for the most part they are, right. But it's cool. I mean, like Mother Nature is like, can like be very violent, right?
Yeah.
And so it was cool and always like humbling to see like the mountains, in like their natural force, I guess.
Yeah, I tell people if you really want to get outside, like if you want to know what it's like to be outdoors, come to Utah, spend some time here, walk into the mountains. You can go very far from day-to-day civilization. So yeah, I mean, we've seen some crazy stuff.
Crazy.
I don't know.
Imagine.
Yeah. Humbling for sure. And kind of comes back. I'll definitely show Salt Lake a lot, but comes back to how cool it is to be able to, spend your day here, do your job, right? Obviously, Barrett and I decided not to go the pro route on the action sports side, but still really kind of get unique experiences here, right? See what avalanches are like, learn what interlodge is like, see the canyons on like a beautiful sunny day, right? I don't know, to me, all of that is like equally crazy, right? It's like you have a massive storm, it could be wild, it could be life-threatening, right? We've been there, like the most peaceful sunny day when it's 40 and it feels like springtime, right? But there's 6 feet of snow on the ground. Like that is just as insane. I think it's a pretty beautiful planet we're on.
Nah, I would agree with you on that. I'm that type of person that I want to see the postcards in real life. Granted, I'm still working on all the capital to make all that shit happen, but I'm like, dude, that's the little things make the big picture. And like you said, like sometimes just seeing nature just being honestly beautiful and just crazy, it's like, bro, fuck yeah, you know what I mean? Just fuck yeah. I guess any last things we haven't really talked about that y'all kind of wanted to talk about yourself? It's been on the tip of your tongue, or anything we kind of missed?
I don't know. I think we covered like a good amount. If you aren't at the Mountain Down now and are thinking about coming, roll the fuck up to Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Shoot us a Discord DM or DM us on Twitter. It's open to everybody. We have, again, like 100 seats, 15 offices. And if we go through capacity, and we rent more, we get more memberships, right? Like it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of builders. I think this is like the start of the second week. So we got, 3 more full weeks ahead of us. And I would definitely recommend, like, if you're thinking about getting into the ecosystem, if you're in the ecosystem, if you're looking for a team, right, or you just want to be around like cool people who are building things on Solana, definitely come to it. I think it's an awesome opportunity, and it's definitely like very work focused, right? At the end of the day, I mean, like I said, like 20 people were here yesterday, just hacking away on their projects on a Sunday, and I think that goes kind of like to the Solana like work ethic and like crypto work ethic in general, but it's definitely cool to see like a lot of people in the space like building and like being very like collaborative.
Yeah, I'll drop some alpha. We're in the process in real time right now of having Solana Pay integrated into the building.
That's true.
For one of the marketplaces here. So might be the second place in the world next to that coffee shop. Maybe there's a couple more.
Maybe there might be a couple other coffee shops. I don't know.
Yeah, might be across Salt Lake City soon. So a lot of cool stuff.
Fuck yeah, that's what's up on that one. Very last thing, then both y'all shout out like his Twitter handles where they can find you at, and then the Mountain Dow again. Might as well shout that one out. Where can people find y'all on the Twitters and everything? Shout your stuff out.
Yeah, Mountain Dow is at MTNDAO. Super simple. Cypher Protocol is at Cypher CYPHER_protocol. And then if you after that, if you're not done following people, I guess you can follow the personal. It's at Barrett.io, BARRETT_IO.
Yeah, I'll go. Mountain Dow first, always. MarginFi, MARGINFI, and my personal Edgar Pavlovsky, PAVLOVSKY. But honestly, we shitpost at each other all the time. So if you find one of us, you'll find both of us. Yeah, it's a good time.
Hell yeah. On that note, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Kind of like I did beforehand. I'm gonna use the hotkey, go on mute real quick. But I thank both of y'all for coming on and just taking some time out of y'all's day and just showing some love and just coming on. So thank both of y'all.
Always.
Oh, dude, thank you so much, my man. I appreciate you having us
Thanks
on.
for having us.
100% on that note. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know what time it is. Episode 64. One more time, shout out to Mountain Dow. Let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're not already, go ahead and follow at ThugBirdz, at ThugPod, and at ThugDow. Till next time, y'all, stay fresh, stay clean, stay positive. You know what time it is. Caw-caw!